Stop! You're about to watch the spoiler portion of the interview. We talk about specific characters and events. You wouldn't want me to ruin the book for you, right? So if you're interested, you can watch the spoiler-free part of the interview. Yes, there is one! I thought about everything. And if you're staying, trigger warning for abuse. Yeah, we're not allowed to be happy. Okay, thanks, enjoy!
All right, so if you saw my review, you know that I was very much salty about a bunch of stuff.
A
Did you
few, a
have
few. Are we venturing into spoilers territory now with your review
uh
in topic?
yeah, I guess so. Did you have any thought or comment or question about my review and how I reacted to the book?
My questions. Hmm. Uh, no, I did have one thought that I felt it needs defending, and other than that, I pretty much laughed through the whole thing, and then I laugh at it again and again and again. It's so good. If anyone's watching and haven't seen Kaya's review, please go watch it. It's so funny.
Oh, thanks. I'm flattered.
That there is self humor and humor about other things and memes and gifs, and it's all so perfect. Uh, Try the non-spoiler sections, and then after you read the book, dive into the
Yep.
spoiler section. You'll
The
enjoy
book.
it, guaranteed. Anyway, my issue, the only point that I felt that needs defending is maybe 2 points. First is Kobold, that he's sort of, I noticed that it's not only you, other reviewers felt that as well, that he kind of falls in love too easily, a little bit like an insta love. And I really tried to aim it to feel more like a crush and not like love. And like it's a fine line between them. And I'm sorry that this point was missed. I really tried to make him like not hopelessly in love in any way. He did end up shooting fire in Ivy's direction. He just hesitated a moment before that. So he's not hopelessly in love. He just got a little bit of crush. So there was that,
Let
and
me
the
react to that. Hold on. So the
Mhm.
way it came across to me is he was suddenly not crushing on her. It was too intense for just a crush from my perspective. Like he was instantly infatuated with her. The way I saw it, at least. And the issue, the main issue about that is that it's not just him. Like everyone's just like Ivy is so beautiful. Wow. And that's the only thing about her that seems to be mentioned or noticed, and that
there
bothered
was
me.
another review
And
that
yeah,
yeah, there was another review that laughed at it so well. Nai has a thing for Ivy because she reminded him of Nova.
right,
He
yeah,
has his like past trauma, and that's the only two people who like her. Cobalt crushes on her, yes, because she's beautiful. He's this kind of person. And Nai doesn't care that she's beautiful. Nai cares that she reminds him of Nova. That's the moment he kisses her.
right.
Um, so that's what I am for.
No, that makes
The other
sense.
thing, mhm.
Yes.
The other thing is that Green and Nye's relationship, I guess I didn't deliver on it well enough, but it will be more developed in book two. Um, Green really likes Nye beyond anything else because he saved her life. Like she didn't expect that, and then he came and saved her life. So she doesn't really have anything to forgive him for. Yes, he abuses Diane, and that's awful. But from her point of view, the fact that he saved her just means so much that that's the reason she likes him more than anything else. So often people say that too many people like him or too many people forgive him, and I just wanted to exclude Green from that. The others, yeah, the others forgive him too easily and everything. I'm just saying that Green is somewhat an exception.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
that's all.
wanted
That's it.
to.
That's the only issues I have. Hmm?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that actually because I realized that I maybe came too harsh, came across as too harsh with my review. The book is obviously more nuanced than I let it sound like, but yeah, in retrospect, I understand. Like, I guess I saw the thing from just one perspective, I didn't really see it from the other perspective, which is the one you just described, like from Grin's point of view. Like he really did save her. I guess like she suffered a lot in her family, and I guess she would be dead otherwise. So
Mhm.
I guess from that point of view, all right, it works. Even for the others like Diane and Lylene, is that how you said her, how you say her name?
Yeah, let's go with Lilian. I think that's the right way to pronounce it, the way I wrote it. We have a word for night in Hebrew. It goes Laila,
Oh
and
yeah.
I kind of based her name on that. Um, but the nickname for her, I think I kind of messed up the spelling because the nickname for Lylin is just Lyl, and I do imagine them
Yeah.
saying that as Lil, not Lyle. Um, so that's a bit messed up, but so we
Yeah.
can go with either Lylin and Lil, and that's the idea. That's the pronunciation,
All right. I
at
like
least in my
Lila.
head.
It sounds good.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a,
for Grin as well as the others, I guess it would be dead if Nai didn't intervene. So from that
mhm.
perspective, sure. But still, it was a bit problematic for me because Grin saw everything that happened with Diane, and I don't know why. I mean, I guess she recognized the fact that it wasn't good. It's not just her. Everyone was like, he shouldn't do that, but nobody really reacted. It's the lack of reaction and the lack of action that really bothered me because it really felt like we were just glossing over this very big issue. Like abuse has no justification, no excuse. And I understand that Nai has been through a lot, and I understand he's very angry. He has this voice in his head. I mean, it's a lot to deal with. I totally understand, but that gives him no excuse to hit Diane or Ivy or anybody, and to have Diane forgive him so much. Like, it's not just the fact that she lets him hit her. It's she had like internal monologue when she was like, "Oh, it's not his fault." It's almost like she was like, "It's okay. I'll endure this." And again, from her perspective, I understand because she's fighting for this cause for all the women that practice sincerity, and she needs Nai in a way to carry on with that, but it's still not okay. So again, there's this
It is.
fine line
It is
between
indeed. It's indeed very much not okay. I was just trying to stay as not. I don't want to say realistic, as loyal as possible to times this happens in real life. And like I don't know, each year there is this one day that they mention the cruelty towards women day and stuff like that, and then many people come out and tell the stories, and I find that many women just tolerate it for years before they. So that's what I tried to put
mm,
on the book, in the
mm,
book, on screen. I wanted to put it in a story, and I realized that it comes off as bothering, but it was intentional to show how it's being handled in real life, and um, I didn't in any way want to make it seem like it's okay. I'm not justifying it in
no,
any
I
way.
understand
I
that.
just wanted to show the way that, yeah, I just wanted to show the way that it's being handled normally in real life. And it will develop from there. Obviously, I'm not going to just abandon this issue. It's all planned out, and it will be glorious.
Okay, no, it's good because the book doesn't give this impression that you are defending the abuse. That's really good.
Mhm.
You know, this is very clear. It's very well made. It's made clear that the abuse is not okay. Even Nice at some point I think is like, I shouldn't be doing this. You know, so there's this idea that it's not okay that keeps coming back, and I appreciate it. But it's the lack of action that really bothered me. And I
Mhm.
again, I understand,
Makes
like you
sense.
said, victims really very well often put up with this kind of stuff for a very long time
Mhm.
before they have the courage to do something. But you know, it made me angry. Diane didn't deserve this. Nobody deserves this. And seeing her just
No.
suffer through that was a lot, I guess. And even Ivy, you know, towards the end, it just broke my heart. So you know, but I trust
Yeah.
you on this. I trust that it will get better. We will see some growth happening. But I still don't like Nai. I'm sorry.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. I just want to remind you, much of that is for you to like the Mary Sue. Now that we are in a spoiler territory, Ivy is obviously a Mary Sue,
Yep.
and I just want people to like her enough to justify how powerful she is. And for that, I needed her to be a victim of something like that. That makes her so likable. There will be an in-world explanation of why she's so powerful and everything like that, of course. But also, I just wanted people to, like, right now at this point, you kind of root for Ivy. You want her to break free. You want her to do awesome stuff. And that's not obvious. It's not. This is not something that is achieved in many other Mary Sue stories. So that's what I tried to achieve, and I think that the Abuse story did that. And we'll see how it progresses in the future.
Yep, I'll be honest, I don't like Mary Sue's. So that since we're talking about Ivy, I did like that she has this very, very big potential, and the fact that, you know, everyone just try to, you know, shelter her and not make, you know, not let her realize how powerful she can be. You know, this made me root for her, but you know, the I think she might be too perfect actually. I wish she had more flaws. I understand that this book was very much focused on Nye, so it's I still I still expected to see more of Ivy actually, but we hardly ever had her perspective in this book, so I trust that that will be in the next in the sequels. So it didn't bother me, but yeah, from a nice perspective and kobolds and from everybody else, yeah, she's very beautiful. She's very impressive as a person. Like she might have been a little bit too perfect for me, like for now. But no, I'm very interested in her magic and what she can do. Like she did some very impressive stuff already, and I'm very curious, like how does that work? Why does she have special powers as opposed to others? And you know, we're coming back to the prologue thing too. Like how did she end up there? You know, so I'm very much curious. So yep, you did a great job.
All right. Okay, next.
Yep. Nye, we're not done with this, sir. I just no. I remembered Bookborn's review. She said that she had the impression that you were afraid that Nye might have been a little bit too unlikable, so you really, really tried to defend him.
Untrue. I need something to smack with that. This is untrue. All right.
I was wondering what you thought about that bit, because I was like, huh, that's interesting, because that's how it felt a little bit, you know. So
no, I wasn't trying. I remember she said that, and she mentioned the author's note. It's totally fine. Like I'm not taking away from anyone's subjective experience. That's how she experienced it, and that's fine. But what I was trying to do with the author's note had very little to do with the abuse and more to do with his mental disorder, with him hearing voices and like feeling that there is a darkness inside of him that is trying to take over him and stuff like that. I ran into that in other people also, and the author's note was mainly trying to say that there is such a thing as self-disorder. It's not very researched. I also have a BA in cognitive science, and we studied about a lot of other mental disorders. But this disorder, for some reason, is not learned in the bachelor's degree, not here at least. So it's being overlooked very often. But you can look it up. Like self-disorder is totally a thing. And I wanted to tell people that if they relate to Nye's mental disorder, to this self-disorder thingy, so I wanted them to know that it is a thing, and here are some facts about it, and there are ways to handle that better than he did. That's what I try to do with the author's note. It has very little to do with the abuse. So I wasn't trying to justify his abuse or his unlikability in any way. I I was just trying to explain to people who feel that they relate to the mental disorder what's going on. As for the abuse itself, and I really wanted to explore forgiveness from two sides. I wanted to show a good side of forgiveness and a bad side of forgiveness. And in this book, we mainly got to see the bad side. We're going back into spoiler territory now. The way that Heinok forgives Glitter is a bit too easy, and that paves the way for her to do the horrible thing that follows with Kobold. And even Kobold has a line there. He says, "You're forgiving Glitter too easily. You need to make it harder for her, otherwise she will not learn."
Yeah.
And then she doesn't learn, and then Kobold pays the price. And with Nye, we didn't see the price yet, but the fact that Diane forgives him too easily throughout the book makes him continue to act the way he does, and then he's going to keep, and then he does a thing to Ivy. Then he hits Ivy. So that was me showing what the bad side of forgiveness looks like. And I'm going to explore more of the good sides of forgiveness in the following books. There's also a Kerak thing where he asks for forgiveness and he's not forgiven. Like Nye almost forgives him, and then with madness in his head, he kind of changes his opinion and stuff, and he doesn't forgive him. So there's also that, and just I wanted to show a bunch of bad forgiveness sides in this book, and in the next few books, like forgiveness is something that needs to be earned. You have to stick to the series to get to the good parts. So that's what we'll do. So that's the thing. That's the thing with Nye's abuse, with the forgiveness issue, with the with the author's note in the end, and all of that. I hope that kind of sums it up and what I was intending to do. I can see how other people will receive it differently. Like each person comes with their own experiences and the stuff that they saw on page and everything, and that's fine. Like experience it the way that you want. That's what I was intending to do, and that's the direction in which I'm going. And I hope it will work.
Yep. No, that's good, because the book isn't badly written. I could personally at least see the intentions behind all the stuff that happens. Thank you for making it clearer, because when you read the book on its own, it might come across differently, and that's why I was so upset a lot of the time. But yeah, it certainly sparks debate, and I think that's good. Any reaction is good, and that's why in my review I might sound a lot angry because I was. I get the part of me was very, very upset.
The anger is part of the humor, though. It's so funny, and it's very flattering to see people react so emotionally to what they wrote.
Yeah.
But put the flattery aside, it's also so fun. I can't have enough of it. So yeah, it's fine. The salt is fine. The salt is welcome. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, despite that, I actually insisted on the fact that I liked the book. It's very much. I think I told you this already, but it's very much like when I read Stormlight and I'm mad at Sadias, or Mistborn and I'm mad at Strife. There's always there's a lot of emotion involved, and I think you did a really good job on that. So,
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I just had a very specific question about Nye. Did you want to make him likable or not? Because he's the hero. I expected to root for him.
No, definitely no. He's not supposed to be likable. He needs to be the darkness upon which Ivy shines.
Okay.
That's pretty much the idea. Again, it comes back to the Mary Sue issue, where I want people to like Ivy, and Ivy is a Mary Sue. It's so difficult to make people like a Mary Sue. So I'm going to make the other side so dark and horrifying that people will have no choice but to like Ivy. And that's the manipulation there. So yeah, that's what I aim for.
Yeah, I guess that part wasn't very visible for now. It's only the first book, so
Exactly.
But
the whole dynamic between Nye and Ivy is still a bit unclear because again he outshines Ivy a lot. So that's why I'm expecting book two to be more about Ivy. At least I hope so. I don't know. I guess you're
Mhm.
not telling me, so I'm just gonna speculate that that's what's gonna happen because I clearly didn't have enough of Ivy, at least not enough to be, to really love her and be obsessed with her. I'm interested in her. I'm curious, but for now, I think Nai just stole the spotlight. All the emotions involved
That's true,
as I
but
was
he's not
reading were
supposed to be
just.
likable.
What's that?
He's not supposed to be likable.
Oh, all right.
That's
Well,
definitely.
great. I was upset
Also
at
about the
him.
relationship, that actually reminds me. You mentioned the relationship
Yeah.
in the review also. Um, if the relationship is supposed to feel romantic or full, but it did feel empty, it's supposed to feel empty. It's supposed to
Okay.
be a terrible relationship,
All right.
something that people should not strive for. And I tried to hint in that direction when Nike kisses her when he thinks she's Nova
Yeah.
in chapter
Yeah.
10, like their
That
first
bothered
kiss.
me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it should, because a man should not kiss a girl because the girl reminds him of his ex.
Yeah.
That's not that. Don't do that. Um, so I tried to put that on paper. I didn't want to smack people on the nose, like don't do that. So I just did a show don't tell, and I showed that this kind of beginning leads to a bad relationship. That's what I had.
Yeah. Well, that's reassuring because it was very much shallow. It really didn't work for me. Like this whole love story thing. I was like, no,
Mm-hmm.
please stop. That's the issue though, because it's a little bit unclear. Because from Nai's perspective, everything's great, and we don't get to see like the toxic. Like I did feel the toxicity of the whole thing, but I'm like, is this supposed to be toxic or not? That's the issue, I think. So yeah, I just had to ask you, and it's very good to know that it was supposed to feel empty. So yeah, again, it
Heinok
shows.
did. Uh, I think I could have made it a little bit better. There is this chapter where Cobalt and Heinok follow Ivy and Glitter, not Ivy and Glitter, Ivy and I,
I know.
and Heinok says that he senses something off about the relationship,
Hmm.
and that's when he realizes that Nai is harnessing Ivy's love, and Cobalt reveals to Heinok that Glitter also harnesses his love.
Yeah.
So I could have put in one more little paragraph there of Heinok realizing what a toxic relationship it is when people do that,
Hmm.
and that would have made the message clearer. Too bad, too bad. I didn't.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe in a future edition, I don't know. But at the moment, that's the situation. I did try to make the relationship look like functioning a little bit, because that's how those relationships often work, but also very toxic.
Hmm. Well, that's again understandable. It shows that you actually know what you were doing. The thing is, um, what was I about to say? Yeah, that coupled with the fact that Haynock forgives Glitter so easily is what made it feel like.
Mhm.
I liked Glitter overall, but what she did, like she yeah, no, she's one of the like she's really fun, but I did feel conflicted about her. I talked about this, but what she does for Haynock, like she says she wants to help him be more confident and more powerful, but that's not helping him. Imagine something happens to you and he finds himself on his own. What is he gonna do? So
Mhm.
first of all, there's this, and also there's the manipulation part. That's I don't know. I just value honesty too much, I guess. But to me, there shouldn't be
That's
such
fair.
lies
That's fair.
in a relationship. And the fact that he was like, "Oh, I don't think if I can, I don't know if I can forgive you after this," and she starts crying, and he's like, "Okay, fine, that's forgiven." It was a bit too easy. So I was very much
Yeah.
bothered by that.
The thing about this arc, I try to make it as hard as possible without making it feel like a soap, without making it feel like breakups and getting back together the entire book, because people often don't want to read about that. So I like at least the audience that I had in mind, they don't want to read about people just breaking up and getting back together over and over again.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to manage to work it out in that same scene. And in the end, then something magical happened. And my second editor, I had three. My second editor said that something in what Heinok does feels to her like victim shaming, like the victim shaming or victim blaming. I'm not sure how they call that, sorry. But very often people, when there is stories of abuse online, sometimes people blame the victim. And very often the victim blame themselves. And that's what my editor pointed out. And I was like, whoa, that's a really good theme. I can play that. And then Heinok just blamed himself.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's also me trying to, I got her review and I was like, whoa, that's a good idea. I'll try to make it work. And so not necessarily work, but just make it reflect how it works sometimes in real life. So that's what Heinok does. He blames himself because that's what people sometimes do in real life. He does realize that this is not the end of it, that there will be more of it. And right now I'm struggling about how to make it work in book two. I'm not struggling, just I have it in my mind. Because book two is written, it's out, it's written and readable, but it doesn't have this element in it yet because I thought about it after I wrote book two. So now I need to find a way to get it involved in there, and I will.
So yeah, I mean it works. Like in retrospect, again, I guess that explains a lot of my anger. It's seeing Hanok forgive her and then be like, "Oh, it's all my fault," and I was like, "No, it's not your fault. Shut up." You know.
The meme that you used in the review, it was so funny. Oh my God. It was that Homer Simpson thing with the monkey inside his head and going like, oh my God, it was funny.
Yeah.
It's so accurate. Yeah, that's what goes through the mind of someone who blames himself for being the victim, I guess. Like a victim blaming himself is terrible, but blaming a victim for blaming himself is a little bit funny. I hope that it's a fine distinction, but there's a difference. Blaming the victim is terrible, but blaming the victim for blaming himself,
themselves.
that's funny. What can I tell you?
Well, yeah, now that you explain it, I totally see how you try to make this work. Yeah.
All
I
right.
just hope that it gets better for these characters. Like, but they don't deserve this. And I didn't notice, like, how Glitter was forgiven so easily, and then she made that terrible mistake. Everything that happened with Kobold afterward, I didn't make the connection, but now it makes a lot of sense. So, yep.
All right. All right. Next question then.
Let me see. I actually didn't prepare. I'm thinking of my review and everything. I think it's pretty much it. Oh yeah, hold on. Lylin. Um, uh, in Bookborn's review, she said that she was unrealistic. I didn't think so. But her reactions were a bit weird. Like the fact that again, this whole thing, like, oh my God, Nai saved me, uh, was a bit weird because she saw her mom die in front of her. I think, right? She saw her dead, and I guess she thought that Nai saved her because she would be dead too if he didn't, take her away from that place. And I don't know, like that part makes sense, I guess, from this specific perspective. But then she got like to the hut with the others, and she was like, she accepted that situation so easily. I was like, that's that's maybe too quick. And she was also she also saw the abuse, like, nice place between all those people, and she didn't have much of a reaction to, and she was sent to kill the king, she was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like everything was a bit too easy with this character in particular. So I don't know if that's what Bookborn was trying to say by she was unrealistic. Um, but yeah, I guess I can agree a little on this.
It's
But I still like
possible. My only real response to that, like I can make up now 1,000 excuses and try to make it work in somebody else's mind. The other things were really all planned out, and everything else that I sort of excused until now, it's really a part of the big plan, and I'm pretty sure it will work. Lighting is just my fault. I wrote her for Sanderson calls it in his lectures, write a character for a role instead of writing a real person. So I wrote Lylin for a role. Her role was to show Diane and Green from the side and have a little bit of sensibility instructions from the side so the reader can learn about it.
Mhm.
Then her training was cut because it wasn't that interesting. It was a bit cliche. And I did keep a lot of her showing Diane and Green from the side because I really like to show characters like that. So that's like her job, and that's my fault. You shouldn't do that. When you write stories, whoever is listening that are writing their stories, don't write characters into a role. The reader will pick up on that and feel that this character is not a real person, and a real person should not like that, and they will give you a bad review for that. So yeah, she is problematic. I do want to believe that I did a little something good about her. Um, I want her to be like one of those kids that are just born with the trauma and then becoming really cruel real quick. That also fits for things I have planned out for her for the future. Um, like imagine a 12-year-old with a dagger intending to kill someone. She was just a little girl from the forest like a minute ago,
Mhm.
and then she transforms into that. And I want her to go like this psychopath path. Um,
Wow.
I did try to make a show don't tell with that. I wanted her to be not so sad about her mother, not grieving
Okay.
properly, and stuff like that. I wanted her to have a psychopath childhood. So in that aspect, I think I did a good job. But the honest truth is that I wrote her for a role, and that's not a good thing.
That's very interesting because I didn't question her place in the story at all. Like you say, she's there to play a specific role. That's fine. I mean, I think it works really well because you get to see the other characters from a different point of view. You get to see some of the magic. What our characters already know how it works. So Lylin is a way to show to the reader how the magic
Mhm.
works. It's no, that's
Exactly.
good. That part is totally fine. It's just her reactions and stuff that we'll read. But now you said that you wanted to give her this psychopath back. That's very interesting. It wasn't very clear in the story. I guess we didn't see her enough. Like Bookborn said it, she's a very small part of the story. So maybe that will be clearer in the future. But that's
There
very
is
interesting.
one
I'm
tiny
gonna
dialogue about that that's like
yes.
sets the basics for that. Nye and Diane in chapter 7, just when Lillian wakes up in the hut.
Hmm.
Nye goes with Diane to the basement, and he asks her, "So, what do we think about this new girl?" And Diane says that this new girl seems a little bit, I don't know, apathic, detached. She could
Oh
make a
yeah.
good mesmer. And Nye says we don't need a mesmer, and he doesn't like mesmers in general.
Hmm.
We need a dagger. So Diane says, okay, I can try to build up her confidence and make her a dagger. But Diane does realize that something is off about Lylin, that she's not as emotional as you would expect from a normal kid.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, so there is this a little bit setting up the basics for that. It's not enough. It's just a tiny line of dialogue. It wasn't enough.
Hmm. Well, I sure hope that she will be more present later because I like her, and also I'm very interested in this storyline now. I really want to see how she develops. later on, especially when she becomes more powerful, I assume, with her magic. So that maybe she will be a new Nai, and I will start hating her. I don't know, but it's always very interesting to see. So I'm very excited about all of this. So yeah.
All
Anything
right.
to say about book two? Maybe I didn't read the prologue. I'm sorry. It's at the end of the first
I
book, but
don't feel comfortable talking about Emitar and Trezos in book two because it's hinted in the epilogue and it's based in the prologue of book two that is present in the end of book one. Um, Emitar doesn't like Sinspirity. The reason is still remains to be seen, but he is a Sinspirator. He's a Fervorist. And Trezos teams up with him. What Trezos has in mind, no, I prefer not to share that. I'll just say that it was foreshadowed, but I don't want to say more than that. But Trezos is on his side, even though Trezos is an empath. And they are going to work together to go to war. And the point of this war is to erase sincerity from the world, the teachings, and get people to stop doing that. And most of our heroes are conspirators, so they are going to be very threatened, and the war obviously going to involve like cities and stuff and other villages, and that will be pretty much the story in book two. And I do want to say, like, I want to tease that one of the things that I very much like about shows and stuff is that I like how in different seasons they put different characters together, characters that didn't get to have screen time together. So you can expect groups to split up and get involved with characters that they weren't involved with before. So new relationships will be formed and more screen time for couples that you didn't see before and stuff like that. So that's what I'm most excited about.
oh man, I hope Glitter and Ivy just meet one day, and I don't know. I think that would be very interesting to see. Probably funny because Glitter is just a handful. But yeah, about the epilogue, that there's so much that goes on
Twitter should be
there.
online.
What's that?
Yeah, the epilogue is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a
I
lot.
do feel I can share that. Still very much spoiler territory. I do feel like that I want every epilogue to be about 90 or 95 years in the future, um, from Emitar's point of view. And I really like that idea. I'm really glad that it worked. People are
Yeah,
feeling excited about it, and it's really fun.
yeah.
Um,
I wonder about what's that about? Why 90 years? Like that's so far in the future, and Emitar is still around. Like
mhm.
why? There's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of information and a lot of foreshadowing. I
And
think in
he
that
writes the
epilogue.
book. He writes the Dauntless Knight series. He
Yeah.
tells the story.
Yes. Exactly. So yeah, that's very exciting. I think there's a lot to expect for book two, and then book three. I can't wait. To honestly, I can't wait. I really enjoyed this first book. That first of all, congrats for that because to keep my attention is
Thank
really
you.
hard. I'm a
Thank you.
I can be a very harsh reader. I'm pretty unforgiving on a lot of stuff. And yes, I felt that way about, certain parts of your book, but that didn't keep me from liking the book and really be excited about the sequel. So that's really good. That shows that you did a very
Mhm.
good job. Again, congrats on that.
Thank you.
So, yep.